Salam. Welcome everyone to a new episode of Known Through Reason. This is a space that attempts to engage with questions about the religion of Islam, its foundations, its relationship to the mind and heart, and its connection to life. We respect every question from every person, and we try to make it an opportunity to chat about the topic without stagnation, arrogance, or pretension. Let's listen to the question. It's in Arabic, and then I will come back to translate it and comment.
يعني دايما بحس اللي هو طب هو معقول مثلا الناس اللي تبع الفكر او العقيدة مثلا زي كتاب اللي هو اصول الايمان تقريبا اللي هو بتاع باشمهندس علي حامد. طيب كل الباقي دول مش هيدخلوا الجنة. انا بتكلم على كل يعني رموز الدينية اللي ظاهرة دلوقتي. انا مش عايزة اذكر حد بعينه عشان خايفة السؤال مش يتعرض، بس يعني الناس نحسبهم على خير. هل كل دول هيدخلوا النار وبس فئة واحدة بس هي اللي هتدخل الجنة؟ يعني أنا ساعات بحس الكلام ده مش منطقي. ساعات بحس إن أنا اللي عصبية، أنا اللي متعصبة مثلا، فمش عارفة إيه صح وإيه غلط، تهت كده.
Well, so the lady here is having a question about salvation. She feels confused to accept that only some of Muslims who follow a specific creed or study their belief in a specific way or follow a specific teacher or a specific school, those are the only ones entitled to salvation, to paradise at the end, in the hereafter, and that the rest of the Muslims who don't share this belief system and all the non-Muslims will go to hell at the end, she says. And consequently, it's very hard for her to grasp and accept that fact. It's very confusing. This is her question. And I want to comment on that and say that the truth is that you have the right to get lost and confused, because what is being said around is indeed confusing. It's very important to pinpoint before answering the question that our religious rhetoric is just like all the aspects of our lives, of our current lives, It's full of problems, because at the end of the day, it's a human venture. Just like our medical systems, our educational systems, etc. in the Muslim world are all deteriorating, our religious education and teaching is no different. But we believe that God is merciful and that He opens the door to everyone who is sincere and who seeks true knowledge. Let me delve into the question and tell you that this rhetoric, this idea that you heard of, cannot be farther from the truth. And let me start first of all talking about Muslims. The idea that Muslims who do not share a specific school or memorize a specific book or study in a specific way will fear hell can't be farther from the truth. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that I am the messenger of Allah. No person will meet God with this belief unless He will let him to paradise." Every Muslim who attests to this belief and does not come up with anything that contradicts his faith, inshallah, he will be among the people of salvation in the afterlife. He doesn't need to be a solid hafiz in a specific creed or an expert of some sort of doctrine. Just a simple Muslim who shares the basic tenet of Islamic belief is, inshallah, in the circle of mercy in the day of judgment. Regarding non-Muslim, the belief that every non-Muslim will certainly wind up in hell no matter what is not correct as well. There are preconditions that religion taught us that are prerequisites to a person being accountable to Islamic belief and consequently liable to punishment if he doesn't accept. So the idea is that not every non-Muslim will wind up in hell, certainly. But for a person to be liable to Islam and consequently punishable by hell, he should meet some preconditions first. Let's go through those preconditions to try to understand how encompassing is the circle of mercy. So the first condition is puberty. So every person who has not reached puberty is not liable to religion, even if he's smart, even if he's a pagan, even if he's an unbeliever, doesn't matter. He is in the circle of mercy if he dies before hitting puberty, because our religion, our Sharia, has made puberty the beginning of human obligation. So everyone who dies before puberty, inshallah, is in heaven. The second condition is reason. Every person who has lost the faculty of reasoning, inshallah, is among those who will be saved on the day of judgment. Our scholars say reason is the border of liability. Al-aql, حد التكليف. If you're not having the faculty of reason, if you cannot grasp, understand, and process and reason, then you're excused in the day of judgment. The third condition is the soundness of the senses. Everyone who is both blind and deaf is not liable to religion, even if there is some sort of way to communicate with him through touching or whatever. But he has to retain at least sight or hearing to be liable to religion. Then we come to the fourth condition, which is very important, which is what they call in Arabic بلوغ الدعوة, the delivery of the message. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, and we do not punish until we send a messenger. So everyone who does not receive the call to believe from a prophet is in the circle of mercy. And also there is an important clarification for this fourth condition. This message should be conveyed in a correct, undistorted manner, in a way to provoke people's attention and in a way that prompts their contemplation and thinking. If the message arrives in a distorted way, in a way that doesn't motivate people to look into it, they will remain in the circle of forgiveness. And if you think, you will find that a very big number of people of our times, they do not meet one of those conditions, especially the last one. The message was delivered to them in a way that doesn't in any way provoke their eagerness to investigate. Let me read for you a passage from the book of Imam al-Ghazali, Hujjatul Islam, one of the greatest scholars of Islamic sciences. The book is called Faisal al-Tafriqa Bayn al-Islam wal-Zandaqa, and it's been translated by Professor Sherman Jackson under the name of On the Boundaries of Theological Tolerance in Islam. But it's a book written by Imam al-Ghazali, who died in the year 505 of Hijrah, which is like around 900 years ago. Imam al-Ghazali said, I say, in addition, that God's mercy will encompass many bygone communities as well, even if most of them may briefly be exposed to hellfire for a second or an hour or some period of time, by virtue of which they earn the title Party of Hellfire. In fact, I would say that, God willing, that most of the Christians of Byzantium and the Turks of this age will be covered by God's mercy. I'm referring here to those who reside in the far regions of Byzantium and Anatolia who have not come in contact with the message of Islam. These people fall into three categories. A party who never heard so much as the name of Muhammad. These people are excused. Number two, a party among those who lived in the lands adjacent to the lands of Islam and had contact therefore with Muslims who knew his name, his character, and the miracles he wrote. These are the blasphemous unbelievers. And number three, a third party whose case falls between these two poles. These people knew the name Muhammad, but nothing of his character and attributes. Instead, all they heard since childhood was that some liar carrying the name Muhammad claimed to be a prophet, just as our children heard that a liar or a deceiver called Al-Muqaffa falsely claimed that God sent as a prophet. This group, in my opinion, is like the first group. Even though they heard his name, they heard the opposite of what his true attributes were, and this does not provide enough incentive to compel them to investigate. And then later on in the book he continues and he says, think then of God's mercy as being as vast and as all-encompassing as it actually is, and do not measure divine issues with the adumbrative scale of formal reasoning, and know that the hereafter is ever so close to this world. And he mentions a verse in the Quran, both the creation and the resurrection of all of you are as that of a single soul. He continues, just as most people in this world enjoy health and material well-being or live in an enviable circumstances, inasmuch as, given the choice, they would choose life over death and annihilation, and just as it is rare for even a tormented person to wish for his death, so too will it be rare for one to dwell in the hellfire forever, compared to the number of those who will be saved outright, and those who will be ultimately taken out of hellfire. And none of this, it should be noted, is a function of God's attribute of mercy having changed in any way due to changes in our circumstances. It's simply the fact of our being in this world or in the hereafter that changes. He means the mercy of God is constant. And this change from this life to the hereafter is our change. So just like most of the people of this world prefer life over death, and they would choose to pay so much money to go to a medical operation to prevent their death and to prolong their lives a bit more, so this will be the case in the afterlife. He continues to say, otherwise there would be no meaning to the statement of the Prophet ﷺ. The first thing that God inscribed in the first book was, I am God, there is no God but me. My mercy outstrips my wrath. Thus, whoever says there is no God but God and Muhammad is his servant and messenger, for him is paradise. Moreover, you should know that the precedence and vastness of God's mercy has revealed itself to the people of spiritual insight through various means and illuminations other than the reports and anecdotes that have come into their possession. But citing all of this would take up too much time. So he's speaking that every Muslim who upholds that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one and that Prophet Muhammad is his messenger is in the circle of mercy. And every non-Muslim who's died before puberty is in the circle of mercy. And any non-Muslim who's lost the faculty of reason is in the circle of mercy. And any non-Muslim who's both deaf and blind is in the circle of mercy. And any non-Muslim who didn't receive the message of the Prophet is in the circle of mercy. And any non-Muslim who received the message of the Prophet in a distorted way that didn't provoke his attention to investigate and look into it, inshallah is in the circle of mercy. And any non-Muslim who received the message in a way that provokes him to investigate and started looking into it and reading and dying in the process is in the circle of mercy. And just like people, most of them in this life, they are preferring life over death and they feel safe and secure and they want to prolong their lives, so is their case in the afterlife, like Imam al-Ghazali said. So think then of God's mercy as being as vast and as all-encompassing as it actually is. And this is what we hope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is what our religion, our scholars have been saying about this matter. Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is free to do whatever He wants. He's the King of Kings. He's the owner of this world, and He can set whoever He wants to punishment and whoever He wants to reward. We are all His possession, His property. But nevertheless, this is what we learned from our religion about salvation. Thank you so much. I hope my answer is clear, and see you inshallah in another episode discussing another matter. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.